Hello everybody, how are you doing? The very warmest of welcomes to my channel, and welcome back if you're a returning viewer. If we've never met before, hello, my name is Alison and I'm a 50-something witch living here in Chesterfield in Derbyshire in the UK, and it's my mission to bring you some little bits of witchy magic into your life, some mundane lifestyle as well, and just to share all the things that bring us joy. And you might be wondering why I'm currently sitting in a cemetery here in my hometown, and the reason for that is simple. We're about to approach Samhain, which is the most revered Sabbath on the wheel of the witch's year, and I thought it would be a really nice thing to do if we sat and talked for a while about why this particular Sabbath is so important and why it's held in such high esteem. And I also wanted to share with you some little tips for how you can celebrate the Sabbath, which I realise might be a little bit intimidating if you were new to witchcraft. We were all new once, and I remember being very nervous about how this particular Sabbath should be celebrated. I use the word should, but if you've been with me for a while, you'll know that I'm not a fan of the word should as far as witchcraft is concerned. And so I really hope that by the end of this video you will have taken some of my tips and made them your own, and that it will take a little bit of the mystique out of this wonderful Sabbath, which is my personal favourite. And I really hope that you enjoy what we're going to talk about today. For anyone who doesn't know, Samhain is the third of the harvest festivals on the witch's wheel of the year, the other two being Lammas on the 1st of August and the autumn equinox, which falls around the 20th to the 22nd of September. The third harvest festival was particularly significant because this was when our ancestors would have started the process of closing down for the winter, and for making sure that they had everything they needed to sustain them through the darker months. So they would have celebrated everything that had passed in the year. They would have celebrated the harvest that they had managed to nurture and to bring in. And it would also have been a fairly key time in ensuring their survival over the winter, so it was extremely important. This was also the time that the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead was considered to be the thinnest, and this meant that the people who had gone before, the ancestors if you will, would be able to pass through the veil and to return home at this time of year. And this is a belief that many witches, including myself, hold very dear, and is the key focus of my celebrations at this time of year. If you've been following my channel for a while, you will know that one of the main focuses I have when it comes to witchcraft is that keeping it simple is the best way to ensure that you will keep doing it, if you like, and keep enjoying your craft and what you are doing. I think that anything that is over elaborate is too much and takes the focus off what you should really be thinking about. The word should there again, which I apologise for, but I think that sometimes we as witches we can be very focused on ritual rather than substance and content, and in that respect it can become a little bit performative, and you aren't really thinking about what you are trying to achieve and what you're trying to do. So I think keeping it simple is always the best approach, and I know that a lot of you practice in groups and that you are probably bound by the terms of the groups that you work with for how your practice works, but I'm talking about practicing on your own for the purposes of this video and for the tips I'm going to give you. I do work as part of groups, which I really enjoy. I don't have as much time for it as I did, unfortunately, but I do enjoy it, and I do enjoy being with, you know, like-minded souls and celebrating the same thing together. But when it comes to my own practice, I enjoy being on my own and being in my own head and being absolutely clear about what I'm trying to achieve. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Samhain is a time when we traditionally look back on the year that has passed, because this Sabbath marks the end of our year, when the wheel reaches the end of a full turn and starts to turn again. So at this time of year, I like to spend time thinking about the year that has passed and where it has brought me to. And this is my first tip, and I think it's a really important thing to do. Now, this year for me personally has been an absolute revelation. Right from Yule last year, I knew that this year was going to bring catastrophic and huge change into my life, and it has. Specifically career-wise, it's been the most challenging year that I have had professionally in my entire working life, and I knew it was coming, and the reason that I knew that is because over Yule, you might have remembered me talking about the Seasons of the Witch at Yule Tarot, and you know what? You know that I absolutely hate that deck, almost as much as I hate the Samhain deck, but literally as soon as I opened the deck for the first time, the most hateful card fell out. And it was the Perseverance card, and as soon as I picked it up, I just felt my heart sink, even before I knew the meaning of the card and what it represented. But I knew that this was coming. And anyway, when we went back to work after Christmas, sure enough, the bombs started dropping. And if you work in higher education in the UK, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Very long story short, but a lot of my closest colleagues have ended up losing their jobs, and I have really struggled with the consequences of what happened. And anyway, we're coming to the end of it now, but I've been so angry and so furious about what happened, and I know that a lot of my friends have felt the same, but as Samhain's approached and I've been thinking about that particular situation, I understood and finally came to terms with the fact that you have to grieve for situations and for things that have happened. You can't keep hold of them. You have to make peace with what's happened, and that is the only way to move on from it. And I think that this is a really important tip to apply to yourself and to think about as Samhain approaches, and to consider what has happened in the year and what it has taught you about yourself and your resilience and how you approach situations that are difficult. I think it's also important to recognise changes in yourself personally that have hit over the previous year, and what I mean by that is recognising that none of us are the same people that we were a year ago. We've all changed in a lot of respect, and I know that I am not the same person that I was a year ago for a lot of reasons, because of, you know, the changes that have come into my life, and also because I was really poorly earlier this year, as you might know if you've been with me for a while. I'm absolutely fine now, but I'd heard people say that they'd been humbled by their bodies at some point in their life, and that was never really something that I'd experienced until this happened to me, and I got really poorly really quickly, and I was shocked by how quickly I went down, and had always thought until that point that I was invincible. And as a result of this, I mean, I was really scared about what happened, and I did feel very humbled by my body, and I've spent a lot of time since I was ill making huge changes to my life in order to avoid having to go through what I went through again. In the scale of things, it was nothing, but to me it was life-changing, and I have to grieve for the person that I left behind, because I'm not that person anymore, and it is fine to do that. It is fine to leave that person behind and to welcome the new version of yourself. And I don't just mean if you've been through something traumatic, I mean in general, because we have all changed in the last year. So I would definitely recommend thinking about the person you are now versus the person you were then, and thinking about the differences in yourself and how you can embrace those and take them forward as we start the new year. How you do that is entirely up to you, but you know that I am a firm believer in journaling and writing things down and having a kind of visual representation of your thoughts and feelings. I'm very visual. I like to have pictures, I like to have words and, you know, things that I can keep in my mind. I like to carry those with me. So I personally find journaling very helpful. Not everyone does, but that is definitely how I'd approach this particular task, if you like. You could also just write yourself a little ritual if you wanted to ceremonially grieve for the person you were, if you like. How that looks would be entirely up to you, but something that symbolises the passing of the old version of you and a representation of the new version of you would be a really nice thing, I think. So it could be that you use a photograph of you at the beginning of the year, and have a photograph of the you that now exists side by side, and just spending time with them, thanking the old version of you and welcoming the new version. I said at the beginning of the video that my main focus at this time of year is to remember and celebrate my ancestors. Now, I realise, and I've mentioned this before in a video that I made around this time last year, that I understand that not everybody has a good relationship with their ancestors. Some people have experienced trauma at the hands of their ancestors, and some people carry that memory of that trauma through their whole lives. And if that is you, I am really sorry about that, and you might want to skip forward a little bit if this particular subject is difficult for you to talk about. But for me, I do love thinking about my ancestors, and I enjoy talking about them and about the lives they had. And I'm very lucky in that before my lovely mum passed away from Alzheimer's in 2018, I'd had many years with her where we could talk about our family and what they did, where they came from. My mum's family came from Manchester and moved over to Sheffield in the 1920s, and I loved hearing stories from my mum about her childhood in Sheffield and how it shaped her and how it, you know, how it shaped me and my brother and sisters. And I was really, really lucky that I got the chance to have those conversations with her before the Alzheimer's robbed her of virtually every memory that she got. So I'm really, really lucky that I still have those conversations to look back on, and some of them make me smile so much because my mum was she was a typical Yorkshire woman, you know, absolutely no nonsense, and things that I thought would have been really, really fantastic as a child in Sheffield, she, you know, completely blew my theories out of the water. And she just used to make me laugh so much. She was so funny, and I definitely got her sense of humour, which I'm very grateful for. But yeah, I love spending time thinking about her and, you know, talking to her, especially at this time of year, because I can feel that she's really close. And it's taken quite a long time actually for me to feel that she's very near now. I don't know if that's because I've spent a lot more time in my witchcraft practice and have become more open and intuitive in recent years, but I can definitely feel that my mum is close now, and I love that. I really, really welcome that, and I appreciate that, and I love that she just feels closer than she ever has since she passed. So I think what I'm trying to say here is that if you can spend time with your ancestors, that it is a really helpful focus for this time of year. And you can do this in lots of ways. You can spend time with photographs, you know, memories that you have of the people that have shaped the life that you have now, and also talking to people who also share the memories of those people. So for example, you know, I love to talk to my sister Jude about our mum, because we went through so much together with my mum, and I love that we've got those shared memories. And I believe that what is remembered lives, so keeping the memories alive and passing them to the next generation, I think is really important. And that would definitely be my next tip for marking this Sabbath. Spend time with your ancestors in any way you can. Now, when I talk about ancestors, I don't just mean my family who have passed, my beloved animals that have passed, friends that have passed. I also mean the people that have left their mark on the place where I live. And I've also mentioned this before, and I believe that everybody leaves footprints in time. and everybody, this is just falling on me, that everybody leaves their mark in the society that they live in. And I think that that's really important to note, because sometimes you can feel really insignificant in, you know, the grand scale of things, but everybody plays a role in their society, no matter how small you think it might be. It may be that you are a fantastic friend to people. It may be that you are an amazing neighbour to, you know, to the people in your community. It may be that you're seen as somebody who can be relied upon and who will listen. You know, if somebody needs to talk to you about something, that you could be a trusted person. It doesn't matter. All these little acts, I think, are what make you the person you are and leave your stamp on the life that you live. And I know this might be difficult to understand, but I think that you have to appreciate how much of an impact your life has on the people around you. And when you are no longer here and have passed through the veil yourself, that you will leave behind a legacy, no matter how tiny you might think it is. You might work in service, you might work in, you know, healthcare and spend time caring for the sick and vulnerable in your community. It doesn't have to be as big as that, though. As I say, it's small acts that are part of the bigger picture, and I think they're very important to acknowledge. So again, if you enjoy journaling, write down what is special about you. And I realise that not everybody finds this easy, but I think that it's very important. I once saw a quote somewhere that said something like, if I asked you to name all the things that you love, how long would it take you to name yourself? And that really struck a chord with me, because I think as people we're taught to downplay our role and to be humble and to not shout about how great we are. But I think that sometimes you have to acknowledge that you play a really significant role in people's lives, and I think that doing that is a great way to build your own confidence and to take forward that new person that we spoke about earlier, and to build on the qualities that you bring to your role in life. I said earlier that I'm a very visual person, and I love having visual representations of my craft in my home. And if you've ever been to my home, you'll know how true this is. And this is no more true than at this time of year, when I love to put a Samhain altar together, and I think this is a lovely thing to do to mark the season, and it can be as simple or as elaborate as you like. Now, my altar has representations of people that I have loved and who have passed through the veil, and there's, you know, beloved pets on there as well, and it has pictures of my loved ones and my husband's loved ones as well. And it's lovely to have this special place in our home at this time of year with these lovely mementos. I've got pieces of jewellery on there that belongs to people that I've loved, and other treasured bits and pieces. And as I say, this can be something very, very simple, doesn't have to be elaborate. And I would definitely tell you to have a go at doing this if you feel it's something you're able to do. And I would love to know if you do put together an altar, what you put on there. So do please tell me in the comments. You know that I absolutely love to hear from you and to know about what you're up to and how you're celebrating. So please let me know. I absolutely love to hear from you, so let me know what you're doing, please, and what you're including in your altars. Now, as Samhain approaches, I like to put candles on the altar, and the reason for that is that it was believed that as Samhain approached, lighting candles in the home would be guiding lights for any of the ancestors who choose to join us at this time of year. So that's something else that I really, really love to do. I love candles, as you know, so the more the merrier at this time of year. And on Samhain itself, which incidentally we've not even mentioned the date, it's the 31st of October. So on Samhain itself, after all the little ghouls and ghosts have finished visiting our house, and everything is quiet, I have a little ritual on my own with my ancestors, and I set a place for them on the altar. I will put a plate out and I will leave some food for them on it. It's symbolic. It's not going to get eaten. It's just symbolic, and I love to do that. And then the next morning I will take that outside and leave it as an offering for the land spirits around my house or in the woods near where I live. And that's a really important part of my Samhain practice, and I always do that without exception, and it's one of the things that I really, really look forward to doing. One of the reasons I particularly love these places is because I enjoy making the connection with my community. I was born in Sheffield, and I absolutely love the city. I will always be a Sheffield girl, but I moved to Derbyshire in 2010, and I love living here. I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. I love the people. I love the area. I can be in the heart of the Peak District in less than 20 minutes, and I just love that there is so much here that is so special, and I'm honoured to be part of it now. I consider this my home and I love it. And the reason I love cemeteries is because I can get a picture of the people who went before me and who have shaped the area, and the older the better, really. Now, this particular cemetery, I'm not actually sure when it was founded. It's definitely Victorian, and it was on the site of a former leprosy hospital, and there is so much history here. Now, I'm not going to take you around here today. That wasn't my main focus of today. I just wanted to be here because I felt that it was the appropriate place, and I love being in these places because of the sense of connection that they give me and the grounding that they give me, and I always leave them feeling better than when I came. So if it's something that you feel you can do, I would definitely recommend it. And one of the great things about this particular cemetery is that they have a local friends group of people who absolutely live and breathe this place and know so much about it. And on our last visit here, I came with Mark last Samhain, and we bumped into the most amazing man who took us for a walk round and told us so much about the people who are here, and it was fantastic. And when we left, we were absolutely buzzing from the just, I can't explain it, but from the amount of information that I can't even think of the words, but it was kind of like head busting to know about these people and what had happened to them and how they shaped this town. So if it's something that you feel you can do, definitely do it. I find these places so comforting and so grounding and so uplifting, and I realise that might sound very strange to people who don't share that particular philosophy, but especially at this time of year, this is something that I will always do, and I always get so much from it. It's definitely a bit colder now than when I got here. I really hope that you have enjoyed being with me today and talking about how you can celebrate Samhain very simply. You can make it as elaborate as you want to. I mean, personally, I've got quite a few things planned over the next couple of weeks. You know, Samhain dinner with friends, and also on Samhain Eve I'm joining a wonderful group in Sheffield for their woodland ritual in the evening, which I am so excited for. I joined them a couple of years ago for their Samhain ritual, and it was absolutely, it was mind-blowing. It was one of the most intense experiences I've had as a witch, and I loved it, and I'm so looking forward to joining them again. But other than that, I have got a few more plans as well. We're away next weekend up in North Yorkshire, which is my favourite part of the country, and I'm really looking forward to spending time with our friend up there and enjoying Scarborough, which is my favourite place in the whole world, and visiting York, which is my favourite city, and I can't wait. So this is all part of my celebrations, and I'm really looking forward to the next couple of weeks. And I would love to know how you're celebrating Samhain, if you are, because we've also said before that you do not have to celebrate any Sabbath that does not resonate with you, and even if it does resonate with you, you don't have to celebrate it every year if you don't want to. There is, in my craft, there is no should. I don't do should. It's very subjective, and your craft is your own. Nobody gets to gatekeep your craft but you. You decide how it looks and how it feels and what works for you. I can't impress that on you enough. So yeah, I would love to know what you're doing to celebrate, and I'm sure that the rest of our community would love to know as well. And I am so thankful that you are here with me today. I've loved spending this time with you. Thank you so much for being here. If you've enjoyed this and this is your first time here, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel, joining our lovely community, which has been the thing that I am most thankful for this year, because without exception, everybody here is just so lovely and gentle and kind, and the number of people who have been in touch with me this year and who have been so supportive, especially when I was ill. I was absolutely overwhelmed by your kindness and your gentleness and your sincerity, and I will never forget how you made me feel, and how much our collective energy brought me through a really difficult time. I am so grateful. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you want to be part of it, please do join us, and we would love to have you with us. Before I leave today, I'm just going to leave a little offering for the people here who went before me, and nothing elaborate. We keep things simple, and I can't wait to see you again and to spend more time with you, and I really hope that you are well and happy wherever you are, and until we meet again, I hope that you find a moment of joy in every single day. And I know I say that every time we part, but I mean it. I hope that you find something that gives you a sparkle every single day, and I thank you so much for being here, and until we meet again, blessed be.